Blessings to all. Share this YouTube for everyone to see and kick the neck.
12. Higrodhamiga Jatak. Nigarodha meta seviya, ta sakha mupasavinse nigarodhasmin matangseyo, yeneva sakhasmin jivitanti. Moreover, Tiluguru Samyak Sambuduraja, who was a helpless refuge in one season, stayed in Devram Vehera because of Savat city. Erbhaya, the mother of Kumara Kashyapa Sthavira, said this Jatak. However, the mother of the Lord was the daughter of a Satan who had great wealth in Rajagaha, and who had accumulated many merits in previous births. There are sanskara dhammas which are tested temporally. They were in the past. Like a lamp in the earth, the Upanishad shines on their ahat fruit. That Situ Kumarika starts from the places where she knows her name and wants to go home without love. He said, I want to be sown in the Sarvajna Sasana, which is Niryan, and I will be sown. The two parents who heard this said, Daughter, what did you read? There are many objects in our house. You are our only daughters. That is why they said that they will not accept you. Princess Sichu prayed again and thought that she would not get permission from her parents to marry her. But when she was betrayed by a man, that man would love her and marry her. After that, the girl who came of age went to the house of the man who had been betrayed by her parents, and the Lord Patidevata stayed at home, thinking of the husband as a god. At that time, the princess was pregnant with a child. You do not know that you are pregnant. Then, one day, the stars of the city roared and all the inhabitants of the city were shocked. 91 started right away. The entire city was decorated like a sacred place. That princess will not be decorated with crystals and stones etc. Clothing does not become jewelry. He is physically active and walking naturally. Her guardians also said, Beloved, all these 7 cities are associated with entertainment. Why didn't the body get Patija Gagana? Swami's son, what is the benefit of dressing my body full of 32 qualities? My body was not created by God. It was not created by Brahmins. It is not made of gold, it is not made of ruby, it is not made of sandalwood etc. Ran PM and Hela PM Raktotpla were not born from the womb of Svatotpla, nor were they made by a divine disease. How was the sand born and planted in Kunapa? Jata is born from the descent of both parents. Is impermanent. Cracking, fading, breaking, and dying are natural. Sonalugoda develops, lust is of 2 types. The root of sorrow is the object of weeping. Abodes of all diseases were assigned to the 32 tormentors. Inside is garbage. Outside there is a constant pile of garbage. The abode of 80,000 species of insects was close to the tomb. At the end of death, in this body, which was in the chakra path of all the inhabitants of the world, about 300 bones and rice and 100 teeth were used. Of the skin and 900 of the flesh are made of Vedala and Dalabu. All these things were in harmony. Therefore, it is not visible to the outsiders. Atunan was also full. The stomach was also full. The abode of the liver, the heart, the flesh, the chest cavity, the kidney, the stomach, the saliva, the stomach, the fat, the moon, and the pitta. Furthermore, excrement is always coming out of the animal's new entrance. From the eyes ril, Vyavahara means Akshigutha, from the 2 silent Karadu means Kanigutha, and from the 2 nostrils the blocked Sotu, Pitta, Salesma, and sometimes vomits from the mouth. It flushes out the body. Again, the holes of the animal were sprinkled and filled from the beginning. Ignorant beings who are predisposed to ignorance think that beings who have the right qualities are good. This body is also endowed with immeasurable adinava. Parables like a poisonous tree are 4. the home of all diseases and the root of all suffering. Therefore, if this Kunapa came out from inside the body, it would definitely avoid dogs and cats that came to eat with a stick. This body emits bad odors. Therefore, there are similes where impurity is like a pile of garbage covered with a 44 cloth like a cesspool. Inside and outside the excrement is painted like a clay pot. And this body was enjoyed by the ignorant beings who were scorned by the wise. Lord's Son, what shall I do with this body of virtue? It is said that the decoration of this body is like mapping the surface of a pot full of excrement. Sichu Sutrayan heard the words of those princesses who were speaking of the impermanent and said, Beloved, you saw the defects in this body like this and said, why not so? O son of Swami, if I have been passed by you to become a monk, I will say that I am a monk. The princess was sewed in the vicinity of the monks who were sitting in favor of the god. That princess also got the kingdom and had a happy mind with complete thoughts. After that, they will come to touch the Tamarika's womb. The bhikkhunis saw the abnormality of the organs of the chakras, the bulging of the palms, and the largeness of the abdominal membrane, and asked who the lady was. Lady, I don't know if this is a matter, my culture is complete. After that, the rest of the nuns took the remaining nuns to the presence of the great gods and goddesses and ayans, when this caste woman was saddened by Vallabhi and reached Pravrajya. Now my baby is visible. All of us did not know that this womb was laid and that it was sewn up. He asked what to do now. Devadatta Sthavyara also thought like this because he was not a Buddha and had no compassion or mercy for others. A bhikkhuni in the party of Devadatta Sthavyaras has used a womb. Devadatta Sthavyaras are also looking at it and it is causing me to sleep. They said they were expelled from here. That bhikshuni also heard the words of Devadatta Sthavyara, got up from them, bowed down and went to the place where the bhikkhus of the Supreme Being's party were sheltering. Then tell those younger Mahanintha monks, Aryavani, Devadatta and Sthavyara will not become Buddhas. I want to benefit from being close to them. He said, take me and send me to Jetavanarma to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Person of this world, without disturbing this Pravrajya, which I have suffered, intending to be close to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those bhikkhunis also took the bhikshuni who had just left and travelled 45 places from Rajagaha city and came to Jetavanaram successively and bowed down to Sarvajna and announced this matter. He thought that the Almighty was there when she gave birth. Having said that, even now it seems permissible to say to the high Tirthas that Sramana Bhavat Gautam used to walk in a menina carved by Devadatta Sthavyara. Therefore, he said that this story of birth is fit to be judged and to be judged in the midst of Sarajita Pashat. On the second day, he called the king of Kosol, Anepidu Mahazatan, the minor orphan scholars, Vishakha Mahaupashikas and other famous high castes and betrayed this court to be judged. In the evening, when the 4 Pashats had gathered, he sent to Upali Sthavira, who was placed at the head of discipline, and in the midst of the 4 Pashats, he said, let the court of this Dahara Bhikkhuni be judged and sanctified. Good Lord, Thiruvahanes went to the middle of the Pashat and sat in the seat that came to him in front of the king. Call the Vishakha Mahaupashikas. O great worshippers, this baby Bhikshuni will be sown on the 4th day of Asawal month. Very well read in the hands of Vishakhavan he betrayed. Vishakha high priestess accepted the blessing and put a curtain around her. Inside the belt, she looked at the belly of the young nun with her hand on her hands and checked the number of days of the month. The Lord also sanctified that bhikkhuni in the middle of Sivunik Parshad. That bhikshuni, who was born in Kilutan, bowed to the Sangha of monks in Sarvajana, and went to the same place where Mahenithan was hiding with other bhikshunis. When Notomo came to bury the child, a son was born who had the prayers of the sages named Pumachura. Then, one day, the king of Pasenadi Kosol heard the cries of the children who were passing near Mahenavara and inquired from the ministers who it was. The ministers also knew about the matter, and a monk, Putrayan, who marked court reviews in Parshat media for 4 days, was also struck. They said this is their sound. Fellow bhikkhunis, using children is very harmful to asceticism. We brought those princes called Vadamhe and betrayed them to the women of Natak and grew up using princes. The day of naming those princes is Kashyapa. After that, it was said that Kumara would become Kashyapa on the grounds that he had grown up with abuse. Those princes also became famous speakers among the preachers after receiving Upashampada at the age of 20 years. Then he said, O sage, among the disciples who adorned and preached in my order, was there a certain Kumara Kashyapa? He said, these 3 are the best. Anvahatsar also reached arhatship after listening to the preaching of the Vamika Sutras for some time. That Kumara Kashyapa Sthavira's mother Bhikshuni also reached Ahat Phala than Vidarshana. That Kumara Kashyapa Satavira also appeared as the moon in the sky in the Sarvajana Sasana. One day the omniscient king refrained from researching the 5-day meal. At the end of the burial, he warned the monks and went to Gandakili. The bhikkhus accepted the advice and sent his night positions to the day positions and gathered in the Damsabha Mandapa in the evening. Since Devadatta was not a Buddha and did not have Kshanti Maitreya, he killed Kumara Kashyapa and his mother Sthaviras. He praised the merits of Sarvajana, saying that since he is the Lord of Dharma and has compassion towards all beings, he helped them both. The Lord Buddha also gave counsels from Sarvajana Leela. The Buddhasanas that have been brought to life in the Mandapa are sitting on the Mastaka. I asked you not to tell me what kind of story I would come with in the first half, but you are not left with the 32 stories like royal stories, thief stories, etc. All the news started now, starting with the story of Niya who helped the 2 Sthaviras and Mother Sthaviras, who escaped without the help of Devadatta Sthaviras, etc. Monks, omniscients, these 2 will not be the future helpers. He said whether they were the antecedents, the suffixes, and the helpers. The monk prayed to the blessed Lord Buddha to reveal that Attha. Even though the omniscient one was hidden from other existence, he declared and said, how is that? On the last day, during the reign of a king named Brahmadatta in Varanasi, our great Bosatana was conceived in a beast. Bodhisattvas were also born from the mother's womb and had golden body colors. The 2 axles of those animal books were marked with notes like an Indraneel ruby. The 2 buds are the royal colors. The face has the color of a red carpet. The extremities of the hands and feet are treated with the taste of Laksha. Valadhi was like a Chamara Valadhi. The beast's body was the size of a large horse. Those deer kings also live in the forest surrounded by about 500 deer. Deer kings named Nigrodha. In the place not far from that deer king, there were 500 deer escorted, but another deer king named Sakhamriga was hiding in that forest. Those deer kings also have golden body color. At the same time, the kings of Benares are also engaged in killing deer. Rice is not eaten without meat. When the industries of the people are gone, all the villages gather together and go hunting deer for days. Humans thought like this. Because the king is constantly going to hunt deer, all of our industries are delayed. In every kingdom, we planted proper grass for the deer and made a place where they could drink tea, and brought many deer, but they tied the door of the garden and betrayed the king. He was walking in the middle of the forest looking for deer. The Saka kings and the Nigrodha kings surrounded the closed place. Soon after seeing that group of animals, they beat the trees, wild animals, the ground with clubs and sticks, scared the deer, raised their weapons like swords, clubs, bows, etc., making loud noises. Every time we went to deer hunting, our industries did not die well. We brought the deer from all sides, but it was planted in your garden. From now on, they told the king to eat their meat and went to their villages. When the kings heard what they were saying, they went to the garden to look after the deer and saw the two golden deer kings and gave them shelter. From then on, the kings would never 500 Bring a H. Someday the cook will go and bring a deer. The deer saw the bows and got scared of death and went to hide in that place. Many are suffering. There are also those who suffer and get sick from jumping on the grass. Death also comes. The animal group has also informed the Bodhi animals. The Bodhisattvas also called the kings of the branches and beasts, friends, after it was decreed that many deer should be killed, dead, and surely die. From now on, even if a deer is not shot by the head, the deer will come to the place where the purple fruit was planted. The time has come, the mother has gone, and the head of the fruit, all those beasts were accepted as good by marking that if they were hit, then the deer would not come to the hive. Since that day, the deer that came in season has gone and killed and taken away the beast that was sitting on the fruit. Then one day it was the turn of one of the deer that had been caught in the branch beast's paw. Come close to the Shakha Muraj Juruvan who gives that mouth, Lord, I am pregnant. Say to a child, let us both exceed my time twice. You know your son, who does not accept me when those branches come to you. They said to run away from here. The Bodhisattvas, who do not receive favors from the closeness of the deer-bearing branch beast, announced this matter. The Bodhisattvas also sent Thipi to listen to the voice of the mouth giver. I am overtaking your turn and put your head on the fruit. The cook also saw the Bodhisattvas and the abject king sprinkled the purple fruit on the mata and ate it. Yuvu thought that this was the case and went and told the king. The king immediately got into a chariot and went to the garden in great procession, and when he put his head on the fruit, the king saw the Bodhi animals and became friends. Didn't I give you sanctuary? He said, why are you here? O great king, when two pregnant deer come close to me, I will pass it on to the other. That's when I gave her my life and I opened it and hid her here. They said that it was the king without causing any doubt. My lord, king of the beasts, I am pleased with you because I have never seen someone with such integrity and compassion as you. Standing up, he said, I will give you and those mouths a blessing. What did the rest of the deer do when the two of us took shelter? They said the king. He said, Lord, I have given refuge to the rest of the deer. Your Majesty, a sanctuary for deer in the garden. The rest of the deer hiding in the hole asked what to do. They were also told to seek refuge. The Maharaja, Vala and village deer were buried. What did the remaining quadrupeds do? Rajuruveti said. They said that they would win the Abhedana for those four Satyavas. Chatushpadikadis were consecrated. The fishes in the water said what they were doing. They were also told that they would win the sanctuary. In this way, the great Bodhisattvas took alms from they. Behave with dharma, with parents, with daughters, with Brahmins, with all the inhabitants of the colony. After living in that garden, he warned the king and came to the forest where he had escaped before, escorted by the beasts. That deer also gave birth to a son who looked like a flower. The one who killed the deer went near the branch beast king and killed them. After that, the mother of the book of beasts saw that the branch was going near the beast kings and said, "From now on, don't let him go near. Nigrodha the beast king will send the beast king near. Son, whether it is you or someone else, if he has a desire to do something, he will serve the Nigrodha beast king himself. The branches do not approach the beast kingdom. He does not even work. He does not make a living because of him. Was there any creature near the branch beast king? It is better to die at the feet of the Nigrodha beast king than that life. The deer that have been sheltered from the places where the king gave them sanctuary have eaten and killed people. Humans are blessed deer and cannot grow or grow. Those animals gathered in the king's house and said this to the king. I, whose hearts are pleasing to the kings, I, who have given offense to the supreme beast called Nigrodha, will leave the kingdom, but I will not keep the vows made that day. Running away, he said that in the place where my command is, no animal will be allowed to kill the deer. The king of Nigrodha deer also heard that and gathered the animal group and told the humans that from now on they will not listen to other people's crops. Since then, the signs of leaf pulling in the fields have come down. From then on, the one who surpasses the mark and there is no beast is the advice received from the great Bodhisattva. In this way, the Nigrodha Bodhi animals warned the beasts and died in the next world just as they did with the deer. Those kings also died and went to the next world after the Bodhisattva's admonition and meritorious merits. Venerable Lovuchara and monks, I have not now helped these Sthaviras and Kumara Kashyapa's Sthaviras. After this Jatak Dharma sermon, he prefaced the Chatusatya sermon and joined the past and present stories together and finished this Nigrodhamriga Jatak. At that time, the Sakamriga Rajanis are now Devaditta Sthaviras. Their days were Beast Parshad and now they are Devaditta Parshads. The name given to that deer is now this Sthavirav. In those days those deer calves are now this Kumara Kashyapa Sthavira who is the leader of the preachers. Varanasi that day. The kings were Ananda Sthavira, who was now the treasurer of Dharma. He asked himself if the Nigrodha Muva kings were the Buddha himself.